Welcome to Leader Lifestyle Hub. Who we are, a unique digital place for the digital leaders to enhance and grow every day. We have set the target of completing 200 book summaries in the entire year. On this journey, we are here on the book number 66. And the name of the book that we have today is The Autobiography of Malcolm X. And a small disclaimer of this book is it has been taken from the 4-minute book summaries, and I don't have any connection to that. Means I'm just sharing the lessons, whatever I have learned from the summary, from the whatever the book summary I received. I'm conveying the same thing, and don't take it as a personal. And let us see how we can transform our life with the help of autobiography. For that reason, I have included this one powerful book summary. Let me start our journey of book summary. Today, we are going to read about the Malcolm X autobiography, written by Malcolm X, the autobiography of Malcolm X. Let us see the targeted audience before moving further. There are 3 types of categories that you can see this book is for. The first category is 15-year-old high schooler who wants to make history class more interesting. If you join the history class in your school, you might feel boring. But those school students who wants to make that history class more interesting, or the 33-year-old who feels lost for his job, hoping that past 10 years. Means based on the 10 years experience, if you are someone who feels lost for your job, then this book is for you. And for those people who are politically active, for these 3 kinds of people, this book is the helping guide for them. Let us see the synopsis. Before going synopsis, let us have a sip of water. Keep hydrated yourself. Wonderful. Let me start the synopsis. The autobiography of Malcolm X chronicles the life and work of one of the most influential members of the civil rights movement in the United States. Not everyone who deserves an autobiography get one. Remember that. Not everyone who deserves an autobiography gets one autobiography. Some people die early, others don't think of it as important. Some people die early, others don't think of it as important. As often, the people we most crave an autobiography from wait until the last minute to publish one. Let us take an example. Sam Walton or Steve Jobs, who published theirs shortly before their deaths. So the people we most crave an autobiography from wait until the last minute to publish one. Means before they die, they'll publish their autobiography. So this was happened with the in the terms of 2 people, Sam Walton or Steve Jobs. In the case of Malcolm X, it's all the more surprising that we have one autobiography given his assassination in 1965 when he was just 39 years old. Lucky for historians, political activities, and you and me, he had been working on autobiography for the 2 years prior to this tragic event, collaborating with the journalist Alex Haley to get his story out into the world. Remember, every human being in this world have their own story. Am I correct? Yes. So every human being in this world have their own story. So before leaving this world, try to share your story to as many people as you can. So let us listen from the Malcolm X, the author of this book itself. As this book is an autobiography, the author is nothing but Malcolm X. The ability to read awoke inside of me some long dormant craving to be mentally alive. Let me repeat this. The ability to read awoke inside of me. The ability to read awoke inside of me some long dormant craving to be mentally alive. Considered a ghostwriter by Malcolm, a journalist, Alex Haley, shaped the autobiography of Malcolm X and the Malcolm's story in the big ways. Let us take an example. For example, by getting him to keep sections about the Nation of Islam, from which X had distanced himself in 1964 and rewriting anti-Semitic sections. Let us see the top 3 lessons. By the time you can message in the chat, let's get started. LSG. Type in the chat box to understand what are the 3 lessons from this autobiography that you can take it off and can learn and imply in your life. Let's get started. Great. Thank you so much. Let us see the top 3 lessons. I looked at his life and tried to come up with the 3 lessons from it. Here they are. What happens in your childhood will leave a mark on you or for life. Whatever happens in childhood will leave a mark on you for lifetime. Second important lesson that we can take from this book is sometimes you have to get totally lost to find yourself. If you feel that you are totally lost, there will be a chance to find about yourself. And the third powerful lesson is even the best of us can get it wrong. Even the best of us can get it wrong. Are you ready to learn from one of the most interesting figures in the human history? All aboard the autobiography train. Without any delay, let us dig deeper into 3 lessons, whatever we have learned in the above. Lesson number 1. The events of your childhood will shape you for the rest of your life. Remember that the events of your childhood will shape your rest of your life. Malcolm Little would never have been becoming the iconic figure with an X for his last name. Means his name was Malcolm Little initially, but he added the X as a last name, which hinted at his true last name being taken by some blue-eyed devil. If it weren't for all the things that happened in his childhood. Due to his particularly light skin color, Malcolm X has the light skin color, which resembled his mother's, in turn as a result of her mother being raped by a white man. He ended up being preferred by his father, but despised by his mom. Imagine a child have his parents, mom and dad, and his mom got being raped by a white man. This made him enjoy only the father's company and despised by his mom. And his father was very active in the Black community and a civil rights movement leader himself. Means he was attracted with his father and he was disappointed with his mother. Added to this, that the tragedy of his father's alleged murder when he was 6 years old, his mother's coercion into a mental hospital when he was 12, with him being sent to live with a white family, and 3 of his uncles dying from violence. And you already have someone who is going to be hell, being bent on justice and fair treatment of Black people. See how many tragedies happened in the life of Malcolm. At the age of 6, father's alleged murder. At the age of 12, mother's coercion into a mental hospital. and he started to live with a white family, and three of his uncles dying from violence. And you might have already someone who is going to be hell bent on justice. School life of Malcolm further increased this dedication, with teachers discouraging from his plans of being a lawyer. He was aspiration, he had an aspiration to become a lawyer, but his teachers dis- disencouraged him. And what the teachers say to the student is, be more realistic. Try being a carpenter, maybe. This was the statements, or this was the harsh statements that teachers used to told Malcolm. And him not being allowed to dance in front of white girls at basketball after parties, as they treat them as a black man. So there is a discrimination between white and black colors at that time. So he was discriminated and he set aside for not allowing with mingling with white people. His entire childhood channeled him into becoming someone who hated the status quo and who saw only one way to escape it. Let us see what is the one way, how he overcome all these traumas, how he overcome all the tragedies and discrimination in his childhood in the lesson number 2. So I hope so. Lesson 1 is clear. We have seen the childhood of the Malcolm X, where he had lots of challenges in his life, from his mother, from his father, from his 3 uncles, from his teachers, from his discrimination. We have seen lots of challenges in his childhood. Let us move on to the lesson number 2. In order to find yourself, you might have to get lost entirely first. You might get completely lost first. This escape brought him right into the crime scene of the Boston and later Harlem in the 1940s. Malcolm spent the majority of his teenage and early adult years hustling, dealing drugs, steering with people, white people, to secret prostitution locations, resulting in bigger and most dangerous crimes as he went on. So he gone through multiple phases of life. He was caught when trying to pawn, which means loan to a money lender, a stolen watch in 1946, and received a hefty 10-year prison sentence. Means he got into the jail for 10 years. For most people, going to prison would mean that end. It was the only way for Malcolm X to become who he was meant to be. Right now, I remember one more famous personality, 2 more famous personality who got their true meaning in their prison. Can anyone guess who are the? Yes, one of them is Nelson Mandela, and the second one is Mahatma Gandhi. These 2 people entered into the prison and they spared some more time over there and they got their true meaning of themselves. Then after, they know what they meant for. In the same way, Malcolm was also thrown into the prison for 10 years. In that journey of 10 years, Malcolm became who he was meant to be. I'm not saying you should become a master thief to go and into the jail and to enter into the prison to identify who you are and identify to find out yourself. But sometimes there is no alternative to getting completely lost, confused, and traveling along all the wrong paths to finally discover who you really are. Sometimes, see, in terms of Ramayana also, when Hanuman was finding the Sita's location, he has gone through unpleasant sceneries. He has gone through the wrong paths. He identified the wrong woman as a Sita, but he has gone through wrong paths and completely he find out the real Sita location after many challenges. In the same way, there might be life journey has multiple phases. Sometimes it might go crazy path, sometimes it might go lazy path, or sometimes it might go wrong path. Malcolm spent all of his time in prison reading. What he was doing in the 10 years in the prison was reading, learning about the religion of Islam, and becoming a great public speaker, even getting his opponents to admit to the statements such as Jeevan was brown, Jesus was brown. After his parole in 1952, he was a changed man, ready to spread the message of the nation of Islam and become a minister, activist, speaker, public speaker, role model for many. So, in this case of Malcolm's journey, he has completely lost first, and then he has been present for 10 years. In this journey, he read a lot of things. He learned about the religion, why it has importance, and what are the important statements that he can take from the religious scriptures. After 1952, his parole, he was a completely changed man. And he is ready to spread the message. And he became a minister, activist, and speaker. Let us see the lesson number 3, how that life throws different challenges. Let us see the lesson number 3. Even the best of us can get it wrong sometimes. Sometimes, even though you are best in doing that, you might get into wrong sometimes. In 1963, Malcolm found out the leader of the Nation of Islam, Elijah Muhammad, at that time, 1963, to whom he had devoted himself. Like you might be seeing the mentor and the student. The student will be dedicated to his mentor and had slept with several of his secretaries who are now filing paternity suits. He felt betrayed, disappointed, and misguided. A year later, he broke with the organization altogether. On a following pilgrimage to Makkah, he witnessed kindness and hospitality from Muslims of all races, all the eye colors, whether it means white man, black man, and all the categories of people, and all the different heritages, which surprised him and forced him to second guess his own beliefs. There he was one of the most iconic figures of the African American movement, having to confess he had been wrong. Instead of falling into a state of regret, though, he embraced a new message and opened up his speaking to a much wider audience. No matter how good you are, it's never too late to admit that when you are wrong and change for the better. So this is a one powerful lesson. I recommend to write down on the paper or digital notes. No matter how good you are, it's never too late to admit when you are wrong and change for the better. Means try to change for the next better version of your life. So these are the 3 powerful lessons. I want to repeat it again. What happens in your childhood will leave a mark on you for a lifetime. Sometimes you have to get totally lost to find out yourself. And the 3rd powerful lesson is even the best of us can make mistakes or can get it wrong. I hope so you have learned something powerful lessons. Let me unmute yourself and share one powerful lesson that you learned from this powerful one powerful lesson from this autobiography. Yeah, unmute yourself. Yeah, Sony, over to you.
Yeah, it's never too late to change your story.
Yes, it's never too late to change your story. Wonderful. And Tina, are you there?
Yes, yes. So
What is
my lesson is your childhood have a immense impact on your story, because I also written on inner child work, so I know the impact. So I really connected with this.
wonderful? So your childhood is the most impacting field. That is true. And do you know how Malcolm X died and when he died? He died at 1965, February 21. Three members of the Islam religious people to which he had once belonged were convicted of his murder. So this was happened in this tragedy, and he written this autobiography just before of 1965. So recommend writing the autobiography is a lifetime process. And I had experience of writing an autobiography of myself earlier in the 2012. I have written down and I have burnt it off. At that time, I don't know the essence of that, but in the guidance of teachers or mentors, I have written down on book almost 15 to 20 pages have written down, and I spent almost 50 hours on writing each and every incident of childhood to at that moment till the 2012. Have written down my health challenges, my school life, and the career life challenges of career. I have why I'm saying all these things is as an action time. Try to write down your autobiography or try to share your autobiography with someone else. Yesterday, when I was discussing with one of our member, so I found one way to do this in proper manner. Like you can have a teledialer or dictaphone, or you can record your own voice and connect the dictaphone to your document and make it your autobiography ready. No, you don't need to type or you don't need to write in this modern ultra digital world, which means we are in the digital world where the technology is abundantly available for everyone. If you are interested, you will definitely make it happen. So even if you record on mobile phone and you can connect that into the document and you can convert that document speech into the text, a lot of tools came into the market, and there is always way if you are having that true desire. Means the only unique thing that Tina has, the only unique thing that Sony has, the only unique thing any human being has is his journey, his life journey. His or her own life journey. So that is the one key lesson I want to share on this particular note on the behalf of the autobiography of Malcolm X. I want you to write down or you to record your own autobiography. Let me share mind map for just nothing I have made in the mind map. I will create right away on the mind map. So the autobiography of Malcolm, what we have seen, top three lessons are what happens in your childhood will leave a mark of your life. Sometimes you have to get totally lost to find out yourself. Even the best of us can get it wrong. Main takeaways what we have identified from here is it's never too late to read and learn the upcoming advanced technologies. Why? Because in Malcolm X story, he read a lot of books and he learned about from different peoples, and he learned about the religious scripture in the prison for 10 years, and he became a public speaker, role model. Whatever the life challenges throws you, throws on you, you can always have a room to shine. So this is another lesson. He had gone through his mother's being raped, and his father associated with the murder. His uncles tortured them. His teacher tortured him as a black man, and there was a discrimination. A lot of challenges he has gone through, but later he found himself in the one murder case. He got into the prison, and the prison he identified himself what he was meant for, and he challenged for many people, and he came out as a public speaker. So that's how the journey shows us whatever the life challenges throws on us, we can always have a room to shine by with the help of reading and learning and implementing. So that is the one more main takeaway. And so third lesson, even the best of us can get it wrong, says that admit and upgrade. Admit your defaults or mistakes and upgrade yourself to become the best version of yourself. Thank you so much. See you in the tomorrow's revision, where we will have 4 book summaries, whatever the 4 book summaries that we have covered. Until then, stay connected, keep progressing, share top 3 lessons that you learned from this book summary. Not like these 3